motivation. One thing that all kids are motivated for is play. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how we use play in ABA to teach new skills naturalistically. So a little bit about ABA. I know it's not as common a form of therapy, so let's talk a little bit about what it is specifically. ABA is a science that is dedicated to understanding and improving human behavior by identifying environmental variables that influence the behavior of social significance. So a lot of times we have kids who have skill deficits or maybe have problem behaviors and difficulties coping. My goal is to identify what are the barriers they are encountering in their environment, how can I modify those, and then how can I shape their behavior to help them be more successful in a typical classroom, a typical play environment, a typical community environment. We teach socially significant behaviors. A socially significant behavior is a behavior which aids one's independence and their quality of life. Socially significant behaviors vary across age and culture. So, for example, for a 1-year-old, being toilet trained isn't that important, right? It's very rare that a 1-year-old is toilet trained. For a 10-year-old, that's a very socially significant behavior. Same thing with a 3-year-old being able to sit at a desk for 20 minutes. That's not developmentally appropriate. That's not something we would expect of a 3-year-old. Versus me as an adult, I have to be able to sit at my desk for hours at a time. And then I just wanted to touch on some common myths. True or false? All autistic persons experience the same symptoms of autism spectrum disorder. This is false. It's important to remember that autism is a spectrum, and each person's experiences and struggles may differ. This is why it's always important to consider the person as an individual. What motivates them, what they value, and what barriers they experience first. So in ABA, we always try to remember that our patients are children, and also that they're individuals with their own motivations and with their own home life, their own specific community, and skills that they need to learn to participate there. True or false? The purpose of ABA is to ensure a person with autism is not disruptive and does not inconvenience those around them. This is also false. The focus of ABA should always be improving the quality of life for the person with autism spectrum disorder. In ABA, we believe that all humans deserve dignity, self-advocacy, and independence. ABA aims to embed these into the lives of our patients. So we want to teach behaviors that matter. Traditional ABA utilized rote teaching methods to help patients quickly acquire new skills. By rote teaching methods, I mean like quizzing, asking questions back to back, a lot of desk work, things where we could cover a lot of material and the child learned very quickly. However, we now know it's not the best way. When we teach in a sterilized environment at a desk, we might be able to teach the child to answer these questions, but when they're in the actual situation where they need those skills, we say that they don't generalize. So what happens is kids learn to memorize a lot of answers. They don't actually understand the coping strategy. They don't actually understand the social skill unless we teach it naturalistically. For a behavior to really matter to a patient, we have to teach the skill where they are most likely to independently use it. In ABA, we're going to call that natural environment teaching. So what is NET? Natural environment teaching is a technique that's used in ABA to facilitate language, social skills, tolerance skills, problem-solving skills within a learner's natural and preferred environment or activities. So in ABA, we're observing the learner to implement NET. We're seeing where do they naturally gravitate? What activities are they really good at? What activities really interest them? And then we look at their skill deficits and say, okay, how can I teach these deficits while stepping into the world of what they are interested in? NET is based on the work of Levis, who was a Norwegian-American psychologist. And here's a quote from Levis: "If they can't learn the way we teach, we need to teach the way they learn." And the way most kiddos learn is through play. Young children developmentally learn through play. Play schemes help naturalistically teach problem solving and empathy, and allow children to practice these skills in low stakes, acted out scenarios. Approximately 20% of a child's time is spent playing. Let's look at how play develops throughout a child's life. From ages 0 to 3 months old, we're going to notice unoccupied play. This is when a child is really kicking their feet around, they're starting to move their hands around, they're babbling, they're smiling, they're making funny expressions. They're starting to orient themselves. They're starting to understand how their body moves and how they can interact with the world around them. From ages 3 months to 2 years, we're going to see some solitary play. Most children are going to prefer to play alone. They're learning independent play skills, which is very, very valuable to their ability to regulate themselves and their ability to entertain themselves. They're not really interested in playing with others yet. Around 2 years old, we will start seeing spectator play. This is when they start observing other children play. They might not join in with the other child. They might ask questions, though. They might even talk to the other child. What are you doing? What's that? And then at 3 years old, we're going to start seeing the development of parallel play. This is when the child is becoming more and more interested in interactively playing with others. We're not quite there yet, though. The child will start independently playing right next to others. They might also start imitating others. So now the child is starting to watch other children and learn from what they're doing as well. Then from 3 to 4 years, we're going to see associative play. The child might play with the same set of toys as another child, but they're not necessarily playing the same game, engaging in structured turn taking or anything like that. It's more, if I had a set of blocks, I might play with a few, and then another child might play with the other half. By age 4, this is when we start seeing cooperative play. So at this point, a child is playing together with others. They're approaching, they're initiating, they're engaging in back and forth conversation. They're making requests of others. They're giving others play rules, right? You do this, I'll do that. Assigning roles during play. And they might start acting out play schemes with others. With kids with autism, a lot of times what we see in ABA, they might be a little bit delayed. So I might have a 4-year-old who's just now engaging in parallel play. At that point, that's the deficit I've been able to identify. And my goal as a BCBA is to say, okay, what skill do they need next to get to the next step? What are they interested in that I can implement to encourage them to play with another child? At this point, they are starting to imitate other children, which is really opening the gateway to being able to learn by watching. True or false? All children love to play. This is true. Play behavior is observed across all mammals. We know that it is necessary to our development and our quality of life. What we do see with some kids who are neurodivergent, or specifically the kids I specialize in, kids with autism, they might play in ways that are a little different than we see other children play with. These are still very valid ways of playing. Part of the way we can identify how they enjoy to play is letting the child lead. A lot of times we as adults understand the world a lot better than children, obviously, and we want to kind of guide them and teach them right off the bat. It's very important that we take a step back, observe their world, how they like to interact with toys, whether it's sorting colors, lining items up, stacking items, and then try to teach around that without interfering with that play. And so, as children start moving into associative play and cooperative play, natural environment teaching is a great method for incorporating learning opportunities into play. Let's look at some skills that we can teach through play. Here we have a very common toy you'll see for young children. We see a lot of stacking toys that at the ages of 2 to 3, kids are really interested in arranging and building basic shapes. When I look at this as a BCBA and say I'm working with a child who really enjoys this, I'm seeing a lot of learning opportunities. I'm seeing some turn taking, right? You stack this one first, and I'll stack the next one. I'm seeing an opportunity to identify big versus small. We need to do the little one next or the big one next. Seeing problem solving. Oh, this one doesn't fit. How can we fix it? We can also practice our pincer grip. We can practice making requests, right? So, what do you do when you want your turn? We can practice identifying colors. This is all for a very young child. We're able to embed different learning opportunities if we are following their lead, sitting down with them, and interacting with them while they play. Okay, here's another toy we see a lot of 3, 4, 5-year-olds really enjoy playing with. Does anyone have any ideas for skills we can teach while playing with this toy?
Maybe the sounds that the toy might make for their like a copy.
Yeah. So we can start teaching sounds. What sound does a car make? We can start teaching shapes. What shape are the tires? What shape is this horn on the car? We can even start teaching safety skills. Okay, we're going to drive the car down the ramp. What do we do before we drive? We have to put on our seatbelt. We can start teaching problem solving too. Oh no, the tire is flat. What should we do? I need help. What should we do? Features of items. Where's the window? Where's the engine? Stop and go. This is a great skill for teaching kids. We want them to learn for crossing the street or even for walking with us in public. If I say stop, I need you to stop walking. Let's teach it as a game. So I roll the car, the child rolls the car. Stop. We want them to stop. Okay, go. Let's race. Here are some common dress up items that we see. I love these. There's so many teaching opportunities here. We can start teaching dressing skills, right? So if I have a child who really struggles with dressing, these are simple costumes that can go over their clothes that they're going to enjoy interacting with. We can start teaching buttons, zippers, those fine motor skills, colors, occupations. What does a firefighter do? What does an astronaut do? We can start teaching fire safety even. Okay, you be the fireman. I'm going to be the person who has a fire. And we can act out what do we do when there's a fire? We need to leave the house and we need to call 911. Okay, let's do it. Same thing with a police officer, right? I'm in trouble. What do I do? We call 911. Let's act it out. This is a way for our children to learn those skills they need in emergency situations, but to learn them within play when stakes are low. How do you act at the doctor? Let's say I'm working with a child who really is scared of the doctor. Every time we go to see their physician, they cry, they scream, they want to leave. Let's make it fun. Even better, let's give them control of the situation. You pretend to be the doctor. I'll be the patient. I'll be a really good patient. And we can show them how they're supposed to interact with the doctor. And then we can switch the roles and let them see, oh, what do you do when you're a good patient? This will help desensitize them to that fear reaction of being the doctor, and we'll start normalizing the experience for them.
Hey,
So let's,
Rachel.
yes.
So in the other chat, so a parent was saying that they have a child that is terrified of the doctor, but the child might not fully understand. Are you able to kind of explain more if maybe their child is within maybe that 3 year range, or kind of might lack the full comprehension of like the importance of doctor or so, or like what that play can look like to
Yeah.
start helping that child to be desensitized?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that situation, We see a lot of our neurodivergent kiddos are scared of the doctor. And if you think about it, it is a setting that is so different from any other setting they've been in. It's very sterile, it's very quiet. There are these people with white jackets and masks walking around. That's very scary. New things are very scary for our kids. We have to start normalizing those things. The playing doctor will help with that. I've worked with patients before who have been terrified of the doctor. But then when they get to be the doctor and they see, oh, this is what the mask feels like. This is what like the jacket is like. This is what I see when I look into someone's ear. That helps a lot. And it also gives you the opportunity for the child to take their time becoming accustomed. So when we are going to an appointment at the doctor, we have only so much time, right? We've got to get in there, you've got to sit down, the doctor needs to do what they need to do, we have to leave. If we're playing at home and the child's a little shy about maybe letting the doctor look in their ear, we can be a little slower and wait for the child to get comfortable, right? We can slowly work through it. We can have them touch the tools. Like, here, you hold it. You can look in my ear first, then I'll look in your ear. Something else that can help is watching videos, right? So there are a lot of cartoons for kids developmentally that we can watch, like Gracie Goes to the Doctor, something like that, to start seeing the child, so the child can see characters that they like and characters they relate with in that same situation. Books as well will do the same thing, right? So we can find different books about, I don't know, Johnny Goes to the Doctor, that we can read through to start normalizing it and letting the child see that this is a normal day to day interaction. Something else that really helps is if we just talk to them a lot through the situation. Hey, in 2 days, we're going to go to the doctor. He's going to look in your ears and he might check your knee. He might open your mouth to look at your throat. Let's let them know ahead of time what's going to happen. Let's talk about our own doctor's appointments. This will make them more familiar with it and it'll make the situation seem a lot less scary. In addition, with that, let's start associating rewards with the doctor, right? So we're going to go to the doctor and afterwards we get to go get your favorite snack. Or maybe your favorite snack is muffins. I'm going to bring some muffins. And when you walk through the door, you're going to get a piece. And when you walk to the back and sit on the table for the doctor, you're going to get another piece. Some of our kids need little rewards throughout the activity to encourage them, and that's totally fine. We want to provide all the supports we can to get them comfortable. And a lot of times when they finally get through the situation, they're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Alrighty, y'all. Let's look at something else we commonly teach our kids. I want to teach my child colors. There are so many colorful toys that our kiddos play with. We can incorporate this into play. Let's play a song on the xylophone. You hit the light green one, and I'm going to play the red note. Let's match our shapes. I need all the blue shapes. Let's find the plane. The planes are blue. Let's put the green car ahead of the red car. And this is very similar to the situation with the doctor. I want to teach my kiddo to behave in public. Get the play set up at home and act through it. Right? So my child never wants to sit down at a restaurant. Let's get a restaurant set up at home. Let's get menus. They can pretend to be the waiter and you can show them what a good dine-in customer looks like. And then you can switch roles. Same thing with, here's a market. I want to teach my child how to behave at the grocery store. They're always running away. They're pulling things off the shelf. Let's act through it. And when the child does something that's not socially acceptable, go back and correct them. When we're in play, we have all the time versus when we're in the grocery store, we're trying to manage our cart, the child, the people around us, making sure the child's safe and not running away. When we're in our home and we're playing, we have all the time and all the opportunities. Something we want to do across the board, especially for our kids who are in their developmental years, we want to provide a language-rich environment. Our kiddos absorb information during play. This is when they're motivated to engage, and they will always learn more when they are motivated. During play, we should try narrating what they're doing, describing and talking to the child constantly. Oh, you're moving the car up the track. What sound does the car make? Oh no, the car's falling. It's going to sound like you're talking a lot. This is how kids learn how language works, though. We want to avoid baby talk and we want to more describe with a typical vocabulary what's happening. This is called providing a language rich environment. We use this technique in ABA. They also use it in speech therapy. It is essential for developing a child's vocal repertoire. Kids cannot learn vocal language that they're not being exposed to regularly. And then, in summary, play is essential to development for children across all cultures. It helps them learn about the world, contact new reinforcement contingencies, encounter new language, and problem solve. Teaching during play can help kids learn how to actually apply new skills and typically leads to better long term results than desk work. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you so much. I'd like to leave the floor open for any questions.
Hey, Rachel, I'm going to go ahead and read the questions from the other chat. But thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I think it's really important for us to understand just how powerful play can be and just what a useful tool it is. With that, in the presentation, you kind of highlighted some standard toys, but some of our families here in Jamaica, they might not have access to just like the regular toys. How would you encourage that family to still use play as a teaching mechanism, and also to maybe like what common safe household item could they like incorporate that they might already have at home into
Yeah.
play and into being like a toy for this child?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we can really use anything the child is motivated for dress up. It doesn't have to be a costume. Let's go get some of mom and dad's clothes and have the child dress up as a different character and walk them through it. Same thing if we want to practice being in a restaurant, being out in public. Let's set up the dining table and write a sign and say it's so and so's diner. Here you go. You're going to be the waiter. I'm going to be the customer, right? So it doesn't have to be anything big and extravagant or complicated. Most kids actually really like simplicity, and the thing that sells it for them is your enthusiasm. Kids like play. They want to feel like you like play as well. Same thing with movement play. This is a great way to teach self regulation and following simple directions. Simon Says is great for teaching gross motor skills. It's great for teaching following directions. What do we do when a car is coming? We stop. Stop and go games are really good for teaching safety skills as well.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Other one is regarding to they have a 7-year-old, but they're still displaying solitary play, so they're having a hard time getting the child to engage with them. What advice do you have for that family?
Yeah. So if we look at the developmental timeline, if we're in solitary play, the next step needs to be parallel play. We're going to be really tempted to try to push them through to cooperative play, right? Like, I want this child to approach me. I want them to respond to me when I'm trying to ask them questions about play. I want them to take turns with me, engage in pretend play with me. They're not there yet, and that's okay. Sometimes when we push a child past a point, we make it more aversive for them and they're going to take longer to get there. So instead of trying to get to cooperative play, I would recommend trying to get to parallel play. Let's get the child to tolerate us playing next to them. Maybe at first we can play with the same set of toys, right? So let's say they're playing with blocks, we can have blocks. And at first we can be 5 feet away. Let's slowly move closer. And then let's narrate play as well. They don't have to respond to you. That's fine. We have to normalize the fact that you're there. You're not touching their toys. You're not interrupting their play. Um, but you're aware of what's going on. Oh, I see you're stacking the blocks. What are you building? It looks like you're building a tower. Oop, I knocked mine over. Narrating what's happening and getting closer and closer. Eventually, we can build up to, oh, I need another red block. Can you pass me one? To just simple turn taking. We also want to ensure that there are rewards for the child. right? So when we see a behavior we want to see more of in the future, we need to associate it with a motivator. So let's say the child really loves a certain snack. I love that you let me play next to you. This was so much fun. Let's go eat your favorite snack. Let's say a child loves a certain show. I love that we're playing next to each other. Let me turn on your favorite movie or your favorite show or your favorite song. Let's sing your favorite song together. So we want to make it a pleasant experience. What are they motivated by? How can I associate that to me playing next to them?
Thank you so much. Just really want to emphasize to, the parents on the call, and then for those who might watch this recording, just that it'll take time, you can't rush it, but we know, and based on what, Rachel has talked about her experiences, and we know what the science says, is that the child can get there. It might take weeks. For some kids, it might take months. But we're going to be consistent, and we're going to keep developing that language rich environment, and we're going to keep just be intentional about it. And that Richard also said that reward. We're going to reward the child each step of the way. That reward, that reinforcement is huge. Another thing in the chat, Rachel. How do you get children with ADHD to follow instruction?
Mm-hmm. Start off simple and start off with things they like, right? Start off by giving them the instruction before they do something. So I know every single time I come inside, this child's going to take off their shoes and put them next to the door. Before they do it, say, oh, take off your shoes. They do it. Oh, here's a reward. We have to start when they do follow our instructions, we need to reward them, even when we know they were probably going to do it anyways. Oh, I see you're thirsty. Go get your juice. Oh, I love that you got your juice. Here's a reward. They were probably going to get their juice anyways. This is how we build instructional control. In ABA, we call that building a contingency. I teach them when I say this, you do this, you get a reward. Over time, we can build onto those instructions. One of the most important things, though, is if you give a realistic instruction and the child does not respond, we should be getting up, going over to the child, and assisting them in completing the instruction. We shouldn't continue to repeat and let the child not complete it. We also shouldn't do it for them. It is okay if they need help. Let's go over and help them. But if we don't follow through, then the child never learns to follow the instruction. If we do it for them, the child's never going to learn to follow the instruction. It would be better to help them, and then when it's done, give them that reward. At first, we want to make sure they're getting rewarded for everything. If you don't feel a little like you're being annoying by how frequently you're rewarding them, you're not doing it right. It should be praised all the time, every single time. Later, we can fade that out. Later, we can praise them a little less. But right now, they need more support. Let's provide it.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And just to say, listen, it's not that the child harder is. That's not what is happening. I kind of like what Rachel saying. Start small. You're not gonna be where
Mhm.
you're forcing for this big task that they might find difficult, and then like, oh, why you not listen? We need to understand that start small. Start with things that we know that yes, the child can do. Yes, the child will
Mhm.
be compliant with as well, and then we're going to reinforce. Like we're going to
Mhm.
reward. So again, keep that in mind. Also, too, with having the different form of like neurodiversity, we need to understand that again. Honestly, the child out of here and I want just I just don't want to listen to you. That's not what's happening. But we're going to teach the skills, just as how we expect a child who's typically developing to to take some time to learn a skill. It's the same way.
Mhm.
And back to the first quote that Rachel gave from from Lovers, that if they can't learn the way we teach the way they learn. So we have to understand one, how for us to be patient, and then for us to figure out, okay, how does this child learn, and then to teach them that way. Um, any other questions here on this chat? I'll check the other one in the meantime. If anyone online wants to unmute on this channel, you can to ask Rachel a question. Let me check the other chat in the meantime. There's one more, Rachel, in regards to for teachers. They might have a class that have 20 plus kids and it's just one teacher in that class. how can they encourage that play, at school as well, but they might not have the support or feel equipped to.
Yeah, that can be really challenging. I think it's easier to start with movement play. So things like red rover, chase, red green, and then to try to match the kids up by interest can be really helpful. So if I have all my kids who love blocks, I can put them in one area. All my kids who love cars, I can put them in another area. Let's set expectations first, too. Hey, we're going to play. These are our rules. We're going to play next to each other in this on this carpet. We are going to play with safe hands, right? If we can do those two things, we're going to get this reward. We also need to make sure that the reward is motivating for all the children involved. That might mean that Jimmy gets, I don't know, a cookie and Mary gets some Play Doh. That's totally fine. We have to make sure that they are getting rewarded. We also might need to shape it. We might need to teach them first to say what they want to play, to say, I'm all done. Maybe we need to start with just 5 seconds of play, right? I love that you came over and you sat down on the carpet. Sounds like you're all done. Next time, let's come and sit on the carpet for 30 seconds. And then next time, let's do a minute. And maybe that's for the whole class. Hey, you guys, we're going to do 2 minutes of play. And a week from now, we're going to do 5 minutes of play. Let's set our bar low and build up. It's always better to build up than it is to make a big jump and to set the bar where the child is most likely to be successful so we can start associating rewards.
Thanks so much. Denise, who was on the Zoom platform, said, how do you encourage or support a person who has a child with language delay? He doesn't speak, though he's at an age where he should be speaking, but it seems like to be a refusal to play and not necessarily being unable to. The kid is at pre-K level.
Okay. So the question said that he's refusing to play or he's not able to. I'm sorry.
Um, yeah, so he's just refusal to speak. And just like a refusal to play as well, Denise. If you are able to, any chance you can unmute. So it's not that he's not able to, he's kind of refusing to. And I believe this is a
Okay.
similar one that came up before. It seemed as though the person might have like selective mutism,
Okay.
but not quite
Um,
sure.
yes, so I'm not sure the exact diagnosis, but this is just um the parent that is telling me about the child. So I've never met or interacted with the child, but she is very concerned because um at the age that he is, she thinks he should be talking, but he doesn't speak any at all. And
Okay.
it seems the tests would show that it's not like something is physically wrong. He just does not want to
Okay.
speak. He has a older sibling, parents, so he is um around persons that uses languages that would encourage him to speak, but he doesn't. So
Okay.
I'm just asking, like, how can I encourage or support the parent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the first things that would need to be done when we look at building behavior, the first always is going to be self advocacy. Always. Even for a kiddo who does not vocalize, we have to teach some sort of non vocal way of communicating. An easy first vocal behavior we can teach is just pointing at what we want, right? If the child can just indicate clearly instead of crying, instead of parents having to offer a bunch of things, let's teach him to point to what he wants. And eventually, we can even teach him to show us a picture of what he wants. So, providing a book full of pictures could be really helpful. I think that something parents can be encouraged to do is continue to provide that narrative play, that constant description, and specifically use the language around the things the child likes. That's why we like to narrate what the child is doing. Oh, I see you're watching or you're listening to this song. Oh, it sounds like this is happening. Oh, I see you're playing with the toy house. Oh, he's going up the stairs. He's going through the door. Let's start teaching them the names of the things that he likes. First, though, pointing, and then even teaching some sign language would be really helpful. Although the child's not speaking, there are ways we can start teaching him how language works. Sometimes when we start teaching how language works, you say this, so you give me a picture, you do the sign, you get this, the child might be more motivated to start developing that language.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great question, Denise. Anyone else on this platform? Okay, awesome. I think that was it. Thank you so much, Rachel. Again, great presentation. Really just want to highlight regarding just being consistent, even just now with that question at the end. I know it is easy for us to get caught up on the vocalization of communication, but there's so many other ways to communicate. And once we provide or help the child to identify a way to communicate and then build on that, we can see the vocalization. But the main thing is just that we do want to provide the child with a way to be able to communicate. And then even if the child is not communicating at all, we're still gonna play. We're still gonna be talking through it, and then to develop that language-rich environment. With that as well too, Denise, I'm not sure if the person is in the US or in Jamaica or so, but I would also maybe tell the family, like, if it's a case where they are in the US and maybe they speak patois, to just kind of choose one of the language to speak in the home to the child as well to help develop that vocalization. But fantastic presentation. This will be available. We'll drop the link in the chat. And just for the entire series, if you guys missed any time at all, you can access it through the through that link that she put in the chat. I'm not sure if there's anyone here from 8, Camille, that would like to say anything. Is there any representative here from 8?
No, I'm not actually seeing one. I'm not actually seeing any of the 8 members, but just to let you know, we are a school for neurodivergent. There's kindergarten, then there's what we call upper school between the ages of 6 and 12. So we prepare them for primary school. And there's a link in the chat to help the children with toys and for play so that they can learn. We really appreciate you contributing to the program, to the school, and just to help the children. You guys are professionals and you do know that it may be a tad expensive to care for a special child. Children in general are expensive bunches, but when they are neurodivergent and they're so awesome and special, you have to invest in them to bring out that level of awesomeness. Let me put it that way. The child may be very gifted in art, they may be gifted in music, they may be gifted in writing. How they learn as toddlers coming up will affect how they blossom into their gift. And so we encourage our teachers and our parents to invest in their children and to learn on this platform through the presentations that we've been making, especially for this month, how to care for these gifted children so that they can be awesome adults. Too often we are losing talents because they weren't taught. And the parents themselves aren't taught, so they can't bring out this in the children. And it's so sad. You know, sometimes we have 6-year-olds coming who are still not talking, who are still not socializing. They will play, and they will speak to themselves or sing, but to have a conversation to say, I want snack, or I want to pee, or just to have any form of anything like that, you don't really see. And when the parents come and the child actually says, Mom or Dad, they are just elated. It's just such a wonderful thing to see the parents light up when the children actually start speaking and start making sense, quote unquote. So this is what we're doing. We're trying to empower parents, friends, because it takes a community to raise a child. So the friends and the family members, we're empowering them to help with these children. I think that's it. And I did put in the chat the link for it. You can see some information about it and the Amazon link for the toy gifts or whatever else, but educational material that they've requested. And if you want to make a monetary donation to the school directly or through this platform, there's another link that's there that you can also do that. And because in Jamaica here, it's, as we say, it's challenging to care for children. And so we try to assist the parents to empower their children. So that's what this entire benefit series is all about, empowering parents, family, well-wishers to empower children. And so we thank you so much for joining on all the different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and our Zoom. We thank you so much for joining us, and we thank all the presenters. We have gone through Help Me Am I. We have gone through what is autism. We have gone through nutrition. We have gone through, because sometimes they don't eat, and it's challenging to get them to eat and to get the variety that they need. And we've gone through parental support and play. I think I'm
Play as
missing
therapy.
one. Pardon me?
No, I'm
Play
saying
as
that and the final word
play
play as
play
therapy.
as
Yeah.
therapy, yes. So we've gone through all of those things, and those videos will really empower persons to help their children blossom. So we thank all the presenters who have come on to empower our parents and friends and family. And we thank all the persons who have joined from all different platforms to make this a wonderful presentation. And thank you for all your questions. And you can reach us through the link that is provided for either the recording or just to ask additional questions. Thank you so much. All right. Have a good evening, everyone.